He's the warm-up guy on Conan.
Nothing in my act requires whistling. I can guarantee that. Nothing in my show. You laugh or don't laugh. Those are your choices.
And you might have seen him on the show a few times with Pardo Patrol.
Here for Team Coco, I'm in John Hamm's dressing room. Look at how handsome you are.
He has a weekly podcast called Never Not Funny.
I do see you on a regular basis. Fake interest in people.
You lie.
I think you're going to be able to do this very well.
You are a liar.
And if you're listening in Portland, you may remember Jimmy for the long-time running ads for the Lloyd Center Mall. He was Lloyd.
Hey, guys, it's Lloyd, and welcome to my food court.
So every year he does this 12-hour podcast with lots of celebrities and just general tomfoolery. But the cool part is he raises money for Smile Train. And Smile Train goes into third world countries with doctors and other medical professionals and perform cleft surgeries on children who really need it. So basically, Jimmy raises money for the Smile Train, and then Smile Train takes all that money and does good things for kids. So how could I not have Jimmy on to talk about it?
Hey, this is Jimmy Pardo.
James Pardo, how are you, sir?
I'm good, and I managed to not only not call in early, called in 1 minute late.
Oh my gosh!
I know, it's a crisis, right?
I just downloaded a Jimmy Pardo soundboard app.
Yeah.
Is that really you? Is that a thing?
It is a thing that we put out through my podcast that I think 8 people are enjoying.
Now 9.
9. Well, we're getting close to it, the decade. That's what we're looking for.
Now, Jimmy Pardo, I don't know. I don't want to over-introduce you, but I think you're pretty damn funny on TV. You do your podcast, and you're doing this Pardcast-A-Thon, which I think is probably makes you one of the greatest humans on earth.
Ha! Well, listen, you're not wrong about anything you just said. That all sounds 100. Now, listen, are there 2 people there?
No, just me, and I cackle sometimes, and I back off the mic so I don't laugh in your face too much.
But somehow you cackle and throw your voice and sound like a girl. And I'm not. I don't mean that as an insult. It literally sounds like you're a team, and that there's a woman there that's because you manage to laugh and cackle at the exact same time, so you sound like 2 people.
I'm like some kind of a ventriloquist with a weird talent. Maybe I should name my laugh like a girl's name or something.
That's not a bad idea, huh? Stella's here,
right?
Yes. Oh boy, Stella really liked that joke. That's not a bad idea.
See, now if I make tons of money being the guy that can be the woman who laughs at my own jokes, I probably owe you some money. I should probably just donate it to the Pardcast-A-Thon for Smile Train.
I think that's the best way to do it. There's no reason why I should get the money, although I wouldn't mind getting a little taste. But, don't stop yourself from laughing now that I made you self-conscious.
Yes, stop. Whatever you do, don't laugh now.
Yeah, just be quiet and make it as serious as possible.
No, but Jimmy, because I do think you're great, and I've met you, gotten a pleasure of meeting you several times in Portland radio and stuff like that. And you're always a great guy, and your podcast is called Never Not Funny, and it's very true. You're a very funny comedian, and I think that it's great because you come from Chicago, which is a place. I'm from Iowa, so I always wanted to do Chicago radio, and I always wanted to be there, but it just never happened. But did you grow up with a lot of like legendary Chicago radio guys?
I grew up, my idols growing up were Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer.
Yeah.
Who, if people don't know, were, and it's disputed, but I think it's accurate that they were Howard Stern before Howard Stern was Howard Stern. Yeah,
absolutely. I think even Howard has said that.
Well, if he did, he finally came around because there were years where he was denying it, and I think eventually enough people around him were like, "No, you got to tell the truth." And he, so I grew up listening to those guys. Of course, a guy named Larry Lujak was huge on the radio then, and I remember it's funny. I was just talking with Steve Dahl about this when I did his show a few weeks ago about a guy named Captain Whammo. And he would be on WMET, and he was Captain Whammo with the Whammo line. Give us a call on the Whammo line. But for whatever reason, he basically was, a vomiter, this type of guy here. But you liked him. You liked Captain Whammo.
Yeah, there's something about him that you're like, hey, he's not the worst guy on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, but history is where the guy like this is kind of the DJ you want to avoid.
Right.
Captain Whammo was okay, and then there was another guy named John Reckers Landecker.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And and then there was a Brett. he ended up turning into a weatherman. He saw the writing on the wall that radio was dead. And I went into weather. We were at Chicago Fest one year, my friend Paul and I, and we wanted to get on the air, and we got on the air, and he said, he put the microphone out of the I think it was WLS at the time. He put the microphone out and said, hey, somebody having a good time? And my friend Paul goes, Brent, you're a weenie. And we were in high school, and we laughed like we were the funniest, most clever guys in the world. Man, we got this guy. And then he went to commercial, and he goes, hey, can I talk to you guys? And we're like, yeah, he gets it. He understands. We're a couple of sharp guys. And he goes, why would you do that? Why would you feel the need to hurt somebody's feelings? It was like, oh, you're an adult. Okay. You've ruined our day at Chicago Fest.
The Pardcast-A-Thon, which I think is a great thing. You essentially help kids get cleft surgery.
That's correct. We raise money for Smile Train, and Smile Train goes and they perform these surgeries on, the few local children that have cleft palates, but then they also mostly go to third world countries and perform the surgeries there.
And it's not even that crazy expensive, but it does take a lot because there are a lot of clefts out there that need money to be raised for them.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I got on board with this organization. My dumb pea-head comedian brain was able to understand the literature when it said a surgery only costs $250 and it only takes 15 minutes. And when I read that, I was like, wow, so I can literally change a child's life for $250. And so I started, donating money myself to Smile Train, and then Never Not Funny, the podcast, we ended up doing a contest once. Pat Francis came up with an idea to have us have a contest where we bid, we do an auction. Whoever the highest bidder is gets to be a guest on Never Not Funny, and then all that money will go to Smile Train. And then when Pardcast-A-Thon came up, the idea of doing a marathon show, I said, well, why don't we do it as a telethon and raise money for Smile Train?
And the great thing is, you have a lot of celebrities come on to do entertainment and do interviews and hang out. And so people want to listen to this. Not only that, it draws a lot of attention that way, too.
Yeah, you get this. It streams live at Pardcast.com. You can also get to it through JimmyPardo.com. And every half hour, I've got a new guest on from TV, movies, music, and everybody everybody that's there is donating their time for this great cause. And we've got 25 different guests coming on over the 12 hours. And it turns out the day after Thanksgiving, a little difficult to book. A lot of people on vacation. But that said, the lineup that I have for this Friday is unbelievable.
Well, I think you do a lot of great interviews on Conan with the Pardo Patrol.
Oh, thank you.
And John Hamm is going to be on, Sarah Silverman, Rob Corddry, amongst others. And then you have a lot of surprise guests. And if you text... if you hashtag or you text, what is the number? I have it.
It's PCAT12.
Yeah, if you text PCAT12 to 877-877, it will update you on the guests that are coming. But a lot of people like to be surprised.
Yeah, and you know what? Truth be told, full disclosure, not every guest will be announced via those texts. We do have, some other names that have not been announced will be, but truth is, we have one... John Hamm's been announced, and that guy's, probably, number 3 as far as rank. If I'm going to rank how famous these people are.
Right.
But there's probably 4 or 5 people that we are not announcing that I know 2 of them will blow the roof off the place.
Well, I got to assume that, because Andy Richter was on last year, right?
Andy has been kind enough he was on last year and he provided a video for us the year before.
I like that he's done a video. That's hilarious.
It was great. The year before he had committed to do it, and then at the last minute his family decided they were going to go out of town because we had a longer break from Conan than we anticipated. And so he was kind enough to... it was actually a really funny bit where he was answering questions from the audience. And then I would say we would pause the video, the person would ask the question, and then Andy would just answer, nonsense. The weird part was the audience... The questions they worked in such a way that what he answered kind of worked. So they just were laughing at like, oh, what a funny way to answer that question. And so then when I revealed afterwards, hey, I want to really thank Andy for making that videotape and sending it in, I think it kind of disappointed people. Like, oh, that was pre-taped? I thought he was answering our question.
I thought it was a live video from his home.
Yeah, because we said, like, I jokingly said live via satellite, like the way they used to in the old days. But and then, of course, every young person wants to tell me, they call it Skype now. Yes, I know what it's called now. I'm not, a guy that lives in a cave. I think saying live via satellite is funnier than saying Skype.
Yeah, isn't your whole premise being funny? That's the
and being funny in a retro way. And every now and then, though, there is something that like people think I'm out of touch. And listen, I'm out of touch on a lot of things, but I'm not a complete imbecile.
Well, the thing is people always get in the way of telling a joke, don't they? They can't just let it happen.
As I always like to say on stage, either at Conan when I'm doing the warm up, or from if I'm on stage as a stand up and somebody wants to add to it, I always say you can't out sarcasm.
Doing the warm-up for Conan is kind of the greatest job ever, because you're not only doing that, you're doing the Pardo patrol and all that kind of stuff. You get on-cam time, so you're a known guy as a player in the team. But do you love it every night? Is it different every night, or do you kind of do the same stuff and then add to it, or how does that work?
You know what? It's basically that. I've got the skeleton of things I have to hit. Talk about who's on the show, talk about the cast, Conan and Andy and the band, and then hit a couple of legal things that the studio lot makes us say, about cell phones and cameras and, believe it or not, pagers. And a firefighter comes on and comes out, and he gives the safety announcement. And other than that, I basically just say, who was first in line, who's in from out of town. I improvise with them, and then before you know it, the 18 to 20 minutes that I'm supposed to be out there is over, and we're done.
But the audience, the thing I know when you go to the tapings, it's great because the audience loves Jimmy. Well, how could you not? But you're kind of like their friend. You kind of, it literally is. It's not only you're warming them up for Conan, you warm their hearts to you.
Well, listen, again, you're very kind. My job is to get them ready for Conan, and it's a great job. It's not doing warm up for a sitcom or a syndicated talk show. 9.9 out of 10 people that are there to see Conan. They like the show. Every now and then you get the tourist that hey, we're on vacation. Let's hit these 6 shows. And every now and then you'll get those people, but they still also want to have a good time. But for the most part, everybody there is really jazzed. And I do try to mix it up as much as possible because we do have some repeat people who just love the show and like to come.
Do you sometimes, because you're a guy from Chicago, very you have roots in reality, I feel. Do you sometimes just pinch yourself and go, this is my life? And if I've told you this before, I apologize. When I interviewed Tom Hanks backstage, and when I interviewed Martin Short backstage, and then when I got to sing with Daryl Hall backstage, it was like, are you kidding me? Or like even last week, and I know that I'm supposed to act like I'm their peer. I'm also not there. I'm not Tom Hanks' peer, but I'm also, I'm in show business and we're doing a job. They're promoting something. I'm interviewing them. Or last week when I was a guest on Conan and I was on, I walk out and sit right down. I don't have to do a set of stand-up. Right. Like every now and then I know, like, yes, that's what you did. You've worked your ass off to get this far. But part of me is still that little kid inside that's like, this is amazing. I wonder if people that I grew up with are watching this and going, holy crap, Pardo's on TV. Yeah, because, back in the day, I know you're a Johnny Carson fan. It's like Johnny Carson would call you out after you did your set as a comedian, and that was the big nod of success. Like, and it was back in the day where if Johnny did that to an unknown comic, the next day that guy would have probably 50 phone calls, and, development deals at every network. Those days, sadly, are gone. Yeah. But, like Ray Combs, who has since passed away, ended up hosting Family Feud for years. And he was Johnny's warm-up guy. Johnny then put him on the air. He got a standing ovation. Johnny called him over. And the next day, Ray Combs, was set for life financially. Wow. Yeah. And that's happened to you, I'm sure, with Conan. He has. I'm very lucky in that, and again, I say lucky. I'm not going to deny that talent has something to do with it, but Conan and I hit it off from the second we